All right, so there are some things that you're going to want to know before moving to Cincinnati, Ohio. So what I did is I got on Facebook and I asked all of my friends, what do they like? What don't they like? The good, the bad, the ugly. I put it all together in one list, and I'm going to share that with you right now. What's up, everybody? Shane here once again from the Mean It Group. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to learn everything there is to know about living, working, sleeping, playing, eating, and the pros and cons to living in Cincinnati, Ohio, be sure you click that subscribe button, ring the bell so you're notified every single time that we upload a new video, which is twice a week, every Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I got to tell you, we get calls, texts, and emails every single day from folks just like you that are relocating to Cincinnati, Ohio, and we absolutely love it. So if you're even thinking about making the move to the Queen City, be sure you reach out, call, text, email. That's my information right down there below. I'm the one that responds to all of the reach outs. Days, nights, weekends, it doesn't matter. We'll have your back when moving to Cincinnati. Okay, diving right into the top pros and cons to living here in Cincinnati, Ohio. And these are in no particular order, all right? I actually just reached out to some friends on Facebook and Instagram, just asking everyone what they liked and what they didn't like about living here in the Queen City. Put them all together in a list, starting with number one. A lot of people said this, pro sports teams. Because, you know, in comparison, Cincinnati is a relatively small city with just over 2 million people living here in the metro area. So I think we're pretty lucky to have 3 professional sports franchises here in our city. We got the Reds, which I'm representing today to celebrate 3 wins in a row to start off the season. We got the Bengals and FC Cincinnati. Now, all 3 of those teams have their own stadium. Great American Ballpark, which is my favorite, even if the Reds don't win a lot. They really do a great job making going to the Reds game a family affair. There always seems to be some sort of ticket promotion going on. They got giveaways. Seems like they always have discounted tickets, stuff like that. The kids have their own opening day, which is super cool. Then there's Fireworks Friday on Fridays, where hometown and world famous Rossie's Fireworks puts on a fireworks show like you've never seen before. A few times a year, they'll have concerts after the game right there on the field, which is pretty cool. And it's included in your ticket price. So going down to GABP is always a good time, win or lose. After being bad for so long, the Bengals finally have a team that we can cheer for, right? With the signing of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, fans, again, have something to be excited about. 1 game away from back-to-back Super Bowls is something that Cincinnati has never seen before. Being a sports town is a pretty awesome thing to be a part of. We were ranked number 2 in the country behind Buffalo as having the best tailgates, and that's an understatement. So even if you don't go to the game, you should at least go down to tailgate. But if you go, make sure you go early or you're not going to find a place to park. The lots do open up around 9 a.m. for a 1 o'clock game, and there are thousands and thousands of people down there grilling, playing cornhole, obviously having a few cold ones, and they usually head up to the stadium around 12:30. FC Cincinnati is one of our newest professional soccer franchises, and they're off to their best start in team history. They play at TQL Stadium, which is in the West End, and it's pretty easy to get to, and finding a parking spot wasn't too difficult the last time we went down. One thing to keep in mind, though, most games are sellouts. I believe the stadium holds around 25,000 people or so. The stadium it's a great place to watch a game. Even there's some times where they host concerts. In fact, last year, Michelle and I went and saw The Who perform there, and it was great. Key takeaways here is Cincinnati loves their sports. Reds opening day is like nothing you've ever seen. Bengals tailgates are just one big party, but you need to get there early. And FC Cincinnati is off to their best start ever, and they sell out often, so get your tickets early on that. All right, so another thing that people just say that they love about living here in Cincinnati is that there's always something to do, no matter what you're into. You know, for Michelle and I, we really enjoy our live music. So concerts at Riverbend in the summertime, you got the Icon down at Smale Park on the river, Timberwolf Amphitheater that opened back up in 2022 after being closed for many, many years at Kings Island. You got a Great American Ballpark, Paycor Stadium, Hard Rock Casino. They all host national music acts. In fact, I've seen Garth Brooks and Guns N' Roses at Paycor, Def Leppard, Motley Crue, Poison, and Joan Jett at GABP. So, they both bring in some, well-known bands, and both venues do an awesome job at hosting those events. Now, just north of Cincinnati is where you'll find Kings Island Amusement Park, who has the longest wooden roller coaster in the world, the Beast. They have a huge water park that's fun for all ages, and they have a fireworks show every night right before they close, which is pretty cool. Back down closer to the city is Coney Island, right there on the river, and they are most famous for their Sunlight Pool, which happens to be the largest recirculating pool in all of North America. Church festivals in the summertime. We love them. Beginning shortly after school's let out in early June, you won't have to look very hard to find a church festival where you'll enjoy live local music, rides for the kids, games, beer booth, funnel cakes, stuff like that. Always a good time at the church festivals. The Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Garden. Probably one of the things that I take for granted living here is having a zoo that's ranked #1 in the entire nation. Now, Michelle and I both love animals. We have 2 silver labs, but we love all animals. And honestly, I think if Michelle didn't love helping people like you find their perfect home, she would be a zookeeper. No doubt. I know I'm certainly leaving out more things to do in here in our great city. In fact, I could do an entire video on all the fun things to do here during all times of the year, not just the summertime, but all times of the year. So I tell you what, do me a favor, leave your comments below on some things that you guys like to do with your family. If you're from another city, or if you're watching this and you're from Cincinnati, let me know what you like to do here in town, and maybe I'll shoot a video on it. Moving right along, if you like beer, you will love living here. Cincinnati has a rich history of German heritage that dates back well over 200 years ago, and we love our beer. There are currently 80, count them, 80 craft breweries as of this recording today, right here in the Cincinnati area. We're ranked in the top 25 in the nation, having 6 breweries for every 50,000 people. Again, this could easily be a topic of its own video. There's certainly something for everyone when it comes to beer, whether it's hanging out with friends, having a good time, whether it's playing some cornhole with friends in a beer garden, or chilling at a rooftop bar, which is my favorite. Chances are craft beer is not too far out of your reach. My favorite craft brewery to go to is actually Little Miami Brewing, which is in Milford, which is not too far from me, which probably is the reason why it's our favorite, so we don't have to drive very far. But it's right there on the Little Miami River, which we really enjoy, especially on summer days, just sitting by the river, enjoying a cold one. But then back inside, the pizza's pretty awesome, and they have live music, which is always a good time too. If you live here, you know. If you move away, you miss it. Yep, I'm talking about food. More specifically, the Cincinnati favorites like Skyline, Grater's, La Rosa's Pizza, and of course, Montgomery Inn Barbecue. When we ask people that moved out of town what they miss the most, Skyline Chili comes up almost every single time. When Michelle and I go out of town for vacation, Skyline is the very first stop that we make when we get back. Of course, we enjoy the other Cincy favorites like La Rosa's Pizza, which we got for free the other day because our beloved Reds had 11 strikeouts on opening day, thanks to the Reds pitchers. Thank you. And you know what? Honestly, I cannot talk about food without mentioning Montgomery Inn. Known for their ribs and barbecue sauce, many famous athletes and even past presidents have dined at Montgomery Inn while visiting the city. The Boathouse is my favorite location, overlooking the Ohio River near downtown. Inside, you'll find sports memorabilia and framed photos all over the walls from all the different celebs that have enjoyed a meal with the Rib King. When it comes to ice cream, no one does it better than Grater's. 42 flavors. Yes, I said 42. And one of the most difficult decisions that you'll ever have to make when going to Grater's is trying to decide on which flavor to choose. Chances are, if you live here, you have enjoyed a scoop of Grater's ice cream. If you visit, you must try some before you go. Oh man, talking about all that food has made me hungry. So let's move on to how affordable it is to live here in Cincinnati. In fact, cost of living is 4% lower than the national average. Homes here are 19% lower. The median home price is right around 230 grand. However, renting a place can be expensive. And since there's no rent cap in Ohio, landlords can pretty much charge whatever they want. Average rent for a 2-bedroom apartment can be anywhere between $1,200 and say $1,700 a month. Utility bills are about 7% less than national average, coming in around $150 a month. Gas prices, obviously, they change every single day. And as of this recording, a gallon of gas was right around $3.41, which is slightly lower than the national average, according to AAA. Estimated grocery cost is around $350 per person per month. Actually went to Kroger's website just a few minutes ago and I found a dozen extra large eggs for $2.89. A gallon of milk was $2.99 and a loaf of Kroger bread was just under $2. Overall, Cincinnati is one of the most affordable cities to live in the entire country, and there are many career opportunities here that offer a good salary. Speaking of careers with a good salary, Cincinnati has a booming job market, and we're also home to several Fortune 500 companies like Procter & Gamble. We've got Kroger, Western and Southern. We got GE, Macy's, and Fifth Third Bank, just to name a few. So I went over to ZipRecruiter just to see what the average salary is right now in Cincinnati, and it's just around $57,000 a year, and it currently shows over 70,000 jobs on the site that pay starting at $19 an hour. If you're in the healthcare field, there are also many opportunities for you here as well. Cincinnati Children's, in fact, was ranked number 3 in the nation by U.S. News, and many families with sick children move here for care at Children's. You got UC, Mercy, Bethesda, and Christ hospitals all ranked very high in the best places to work in healthcare. So let me ask you, do you love nature? Because we have parks, like over 300 of them. The Cincinnati park system is massive. In fact, it could be its own video topic, and I'll probably end up doing one of those videos on our parks this summer. So be sure that you look out for that. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified when we do that. 88% of residents live within a 10-minute walk to a park. And here's a few of the favorites that were mentioned in the survey that I sent out on Facebook and Instagram, starting with Alt Park, which is probably the most well-known of parks, located in Mount Lookout and Hyde Park with over 224 acres. It's got picnic facilities, nature trails, children's play areas, and the lookout point to view the Ohio River is pretty cool. Summit Park in Blue Ash was actually an airport, believe it or not, established way back in 1921. The airfield was one of the first actually in operation in the entire country, and it became Ohio's first municipal airport in Cincinnati when it was purchased back in 1946. Now, as a pilot myself, I was disappointed to see it close back in 2012 due to lack of funding, but it's now a beautiful park with incredible views from the observation tower, and it has one of the best 4th of July fireworks shows by far in the entire city. Also, put this in your pocket for trivia night. The park is also the highest point in Hamilton County, so there you go. Next up is Mount Airy Forest. It's Cincinnati's largest park. It spans over 1,400 acres. It's a man-made forest with miles and miles of hiking trails, picnic areas. It's got frisbee golf, which I love to play. It's got multi-use mountain biking trails. It's also Ohio's only wheelchair accessible public treehouse, and it has an enclosed dog park. You got Eden Park in Mount Adams, named one of the safest neighborhoods in Cincinnati, just over 186 acres. Got fantastic views of northern Kentucky and the Ohio River. So whether you work up a sweat on the basketball court or take in some of the surrounding beauty from the gazebo or the pristine Bettman Fountain, season good pavilion, and the very popular Chrome Conservatory or other park attractions. Woodland Mound on the east side of Cincinnati in Cherry Grove, over 1,000 acres, which is one of my favorite parks because I live over near there. Has many picnic areas. It's got the wetland adventure playground for the kids. I actually take my nieces and nephews there quite often, and it also has an 18-hole frisbee golf course. Well, sometimes you have to take some bad with the good, right? So let's jump into some of the negatives that the folks from my survey shot back at me about living in Cincinnati, starting with unpredictable weather. We do have all 4 seasons here in the Queen City, and sometimes we get to experience all 4 in the same week. Crazy, right? It can be a roller coaster. when it comes to our weather and the temperatures. It could be 75 degrees one day, 35 the next. You know, you're mowing your lawn on a Saturday and you're shoveling the snow on a Monday just 2 days later. So very unpredictable weather. In addition to that, allergies are a big problem here for sure. So if you suffer from any type of seasonal allergies like hay fever, or if you're allergic to, pollen or mold, Cincinnati can be a real tough place to live. In fact, it can be downright miserable during the allergy season, especially when the pollen and mold count are very, very high. Also, humidity during the summer months are somewhat unbearable, to the point to where just walking outside is like walking into an oven. You immediately sweat from head to toe, and trying to do any physical activity at all outside is not recommended without making sure that you're staying hydrated. All right, let's talk about another con or a drawback to living here in the Queen City, and that is some people say that the traffic here is just downright terrible. I'm not sure if I agree with that statement entirely, because it is fairly easy, to get around town. If you compare it to other cities, commute times are pretty low, and in most cases you can get to just about anywhere in under 20 or 30 minutes, unless you have to travel on the Brent Spence Bridge. This is where 71 and 75 merge. It's usually a major bottleneck, and it can be extremely frustrating traveling that stretch of highway. Whether you're going to or coming from Kentucky, it's no good. Another con that contributes to some of the traffic problems is that people here are not good drivers. Now, that's not just my opinion, though I do agree with that assessment. Allstate Insurance actually ranked Cincinnati 160 out of 200 when factoring in the number of claims for accidents. Cincinnati drivers are in an accident once every 7.7 years, where the national average is 1 in every 10. So if you're driving here around town, be sure that you keep your head on a swivel, because we're not very good at it. All right, another downside to living here in Cincinnati is the lack of public transportation. Chances are, if you live here, you have a car, because there just isn't a lot of options when it comes to public transportation. Metro buses are the main source, and really the only source of public transportation in and around the city. If you live outside the city, catching a bus to where you need to go could be a little problematic for you, or hard to come by. We do have a streetcar downtown, but it doesn't go anywhere that people live anyway. Unless you're already downtown at the banks and you want to take a ride up to Finley Market, it's pretty much useless. And I think the city actually realizes that now, because when the streetcar first began running, it was $1 to ride. No one got on it. So now it's free to ride. Moving away from transportation, let's talk about another con to live in some parts of Cincinnati. Now, some have mentioned the high crime rate in some parts of the city, but honestly, it really depends on where you live. And I'm not going to single out any particular area in this video, but what I will do is add some resources below where you can do your own research online. I'll be honest with you, I've lived here all of my life, 46 years, and I've personally never felt unsafe, going downtown for a night out or, catching a game or whatever. I really believe that there's going to be crime in every city across the nation, some more than others. But if you're considering a move to Cincinnati, I would ask that you use the resources below. You could reach out to the local police departments to gather more information. Just want to make sure that you're comfortable before making your decision on where to move. All right, finishing up here with a con. At least for some, this could be a little bit uncomfortable to talk about, but political divide was mentioned in my survey, so I thought I would include this in this video just in case it was important to you. Cincinnati is one of those cities that is divided fairly evenly between conservatives and liberals, so can be some political tension in the city from time to time. For those who aren't interested in politics, this probably doesn't present much of a problem for you, but it's something that I wanted to make sure that you are aware of. I will leave a link below this video. It's a good source of information. The website is called bestplaces.net, so if you're interested, be sure to check out that website to learn more. All right, well, hopefully you've learned a little bit today about what it's like living in Cincinnati, Ohio. And as much as I love making these videos for you, what I'd really like is to help you with your real estate needs. I am a licensed realtor here in the state of Ohio, and if I could help you with that, I would absolutely love that. My number should be popping up down there on the screen. That's my phone number, my email address. I am the one that answers all those calls, texts, and emails. So if you're even thinking about making a move to Cincinnati, Ohio, be sure you give me a call, shoot shoot me a text, send me an email, and I'd love to help you with your real estate need. Wherever you are around the country, I hope the weather is getting warmer for you, and enjoy the rest of your day. And until next time, I'll catch you later.